Welcome to Streaming and Screaming. I'm your host, David P. Cronmiller, and this week's guest will be a familiar face to you because he's been in everything you've watched on television for the last 20 years, and he's danced and sang his way around the Broadway stage as a cat. He's Stephen Hack. Also, there are creepy clowns roaming all over Wasco, California, giving all the local residents the willies. This new clown menace has triggered the rise of the Chosen One, and she alone will stand against the clowns, the ice cream truck drivers, and the forces of the heebie-jeebies. She is the Clown Slayer. This is Streaming and Screaming at KXSR.
Ready to go, ticking like a bomb that's about to blow. It's taking control, pulling at your feet like an undertow. You don't really know if you're all that capable, but you've been told to figure it out. Don't pretend you're stupid, sort it out. Go make yourself useful. You're better than dead. You really made a mess with the words you said. So easily fed, flames of the fire rise above your head. Welcome to Streaming and Screaming.
Welcome back to Streaming and Screaming. I'm your host, David P. Cronmiller, and I'm here today with a fantastic actor, an awesome character actor. He's had a crazy career, Stephen Hack.
Hi.
Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
I met Stephen a few years ago now, at a dinner party for a dear friend of ours.
Birthday party.
A birthday party for Susan Sloan, a dear friend of mine and my wife's, and a friend of Stephen's as well.
Yeah, good friend.
I got introduced to him. This is a story. I haven't told you this, but so I got introduced to him. She's like, "Oh, this is my friend. He's an editor. He edits my reels." And I was like, "Oh, okay, great. And I'm an introvert. I am the worst dinner guest you can possibly ever have. But I was sitting next to Stephen the entire night, and I was blown away because he's the best dinner guest you could ever have at a dinner party because he told some amazing stories. And I'm sitting there going, "This is incredible. This is awesome." The people you've worked with, your stage career, and then you're one of these people that you're like, you look familiar,
I thought you were interesting because you edited.
Yeah.
And I just taught myself how to do it. You went to film school, so I didn't have to.
That's right. So I was sitting there and I was like going, oh my God, you've got such an interesting career, such a rich legacy, and you've worked with some really cool people.
I have.
And I thought, whenever I get a chance to it, I want to sit down with him and share your stories with other people because I just think it's neat,
Okay.
what you've done. I'm an old theater geek too, but I have not done what you've done at all. And I just have a great appreciation for performers who come from a theater background and then also are all over TV and just you get to do some cool stuff, man.
Thank you.
So your first thing that you ever did, not first thing, but one of the first things you ever did professionally was you were in the original Broadway cast of Cats.
Yes, that was actually probably about 5 years into my career. I auditioned for Cats. They had done it in London, and so it was the big talk among the Broadway community who was going to be in Cats.
Yeah.
They were looking for triple threats. People could sing and dance and act, and everyone was dying to get an audition. And I went to an open call.
Yeah.
Because I didn't have an agent, and they were seeing on one day all the people the guys, men on one day, women on different days, but they saw all the men whose names were A through L, and then the rest of the alphabet on the next day. And I think at that open call they called back 2 of us.
Wow.
There were hundreds and hundreds. It was like American Idol. It was crazy.
That's cool.
But they called back 2 of us, and I ended up having, I think, 3 callbacks. The final callback being with the creative team who flew over from London on Easter Sunday.
Wow.
And then I got cast. It was a big deal.
Now, for when you're auditioning for something like Cats, do you have to go to the audition like a cat? And that's a weird question. I would assume not.
I went to the audition like a dancer.
Like a dancer. That's pretty.
I was a dancer for much of my life. I was an actor first, and I got to New York, and many of my friends said, it's much easier to get a job in musicals, and you sing and dance.
Yeah.
So do that.
Yeah.
And I went to a bunch of auditions. I went to the dance call. I felt like I was a better dancer than singer. And I looked around and thought, these people are all better than I am. So I started going to class a lot.
Yeah.
And I went to class. I would go to class almost every day.
Wow.
And then I I modestly say I became one of the better dancers in New York. So
That's great.
by that point in my career, I had already done a chorus line,
Wow.
and I felt pretty confident in my abilities. Though I did go to ballet class almost every day for 5 months before the auditions because I wanted
To be really good
to
at
be
tying in
really.
there,
I wanted
yeah.
to make sure I was the one.
What styles of dance did you study? I'm assuming make some assumptions
When I
for people
was
who are watching.
really little, when I was 4 years old, my sister, who's 2 years older than I, took dance class, and she did jazz and tap and acrobatics.
Yeah.
And I was that kid. I was the chorus line story of I can do that.
Yeah.
And so my mom put me in dance class, and but my dad didn't think it was cool for boys to be in dance
Yeah.
class, and
Yeah.
so I quit when I was around 5, but I didn't know.
Yeah, yeah,
You know,
yeah,
I didn't know
yeah,
that.
you
You
didn't know, yeah.
I was watching Saturday cartoons.
Yeah.
Um,
You're like, okay, I
but
want to do this now.
at that time I was doing, little children dancing. But when I
Yeah.
was about 12, I went back and I first went into acrobatics because that was cool. And then I studied jazz, and then I went on with, by the end of my high school years, I was studying ballet because I had done a high school production of West Side Story.
Okay.
It was at a community theater, but
Yeah.
we kids were in high school, and I was told many, many times, you really can dance.
Yeah.
So you should be in a real dance class. So that's when I started seriously dancing. But I kind of let it go until I got to New York
Yeah.
because I wanted to be an actor.
Yeah. Well, yeah. There's that allure of doing all the, and then I think it's interesting because actors today aren't nearly as well rounded. The folks that are coming up, not all of them anyway. I think
Yeah,
they're starting to get again.
I think
because
it's tough.
music is coming back a little bit, but
I have a feeling that had I moved to New York at the age I was then,
yeah,
now,
yeah,
I don't know that I could do it.
yeah,
It's hard.
yeah.
I mean, it was hard then. I had always been told, it's really hard.
Yeah,
And it wasn't really till I was about 29 that I thought, oh, yeah, this is hard. Because when I first started, I got my first job when I was a year out of high school.
right.
And I said to myself, everybody said this was hard. This is not that hard.
Yeah, the illusion of
Yes.
of getting those lucky
Right.
first few
But then,
breaks,
in
and
the
then-
next few years, all of my contemporaries had gone through 4 years of college.
right, so
And they were graduating, and suddenly the pool got bigger.
Yeah, that
I think,
happened.